Welcome to My Time to Shine. I'm your host, Emily. Hi, Sophie.
Hi, Emily. You alright?
Welcome to the podcast. How are you doing today?
Very good, thanks. You?
Yeah, good, thank you. Could you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what you do?
Hi, I'm Sophie. I'm 40 years old. I have an 8-year-old daughter, and nearly 9, and I juggle homeschooling with a crew controller job and the mom taxi, which involves running her to activities pretty much every day.
That's motherhood, isn't it?
Yep,
What's
juggle as
crew
many
controlling
plates as
involve?
possible. I
Yeah.
work for a rail company. So I do on the day staff logistics, covering staff from Edinburgh all the way down to Plymouth. So it means that I make sure they get to where they're supposed to be, that they book on for duty. We manage disruption on the railway. So it's quite a stressful job, and the shifts are anywhere between 7 and 12 hours. So some weeks I can be doing 70 hours in 7 days. Other weeks I'll have a week off. So at the moment I'm just starting my 7 days off.
Oh, wow. Amazing. That sounds super busy and super intense. How did you go about starting doing that? Was it something you sort of fell into or something you really wanted to do?
I started on the railway in 2004. Started as a caterer, and then I became what we call a guard or a train manager on the train. So I was on board staff for about 13 years. And then I got pregnant. So I came off the trains because it wasn't really safe working on board. So I went up and worked in customer relations for a little while, and then worked in our paying in lobby. Back sort of behind the scenes admin. And then when I had Lauren, we had quite a bad time with the birth and with um, postnatal depression. So I ended up on antidepressants and decided going back to work wasn't the best thing for us at that time. Um, so
Yeah.
2 years ago, I I got a bit bored. My brain needed a bit of a boost, so I decided to go back to work. And the company that I used to work for, they rehired me, but in a different position. So I'm no longer working with customers. I'm working with our staff instead, which is fantastic.
Oh, wow. Gosh, it sounds like you've been on quite a journey with motherhood. Did you find that the antidepressants helped you to get out of that depression?
Yeah, it was what I needed at the time. I wasn't sleeping very well. I found motherhood a lot harder than I expected. Lauren had very severe reflux, and she was sleeping for maybe 2, 3 hours at a time. And I wasn't sleeping because of that. And of course, sleep deprivation is one of the worst things you can possibly experience as a mom. It makes life very, very difficult.
Yeah,
But
it
yeah,
really
the
does. I think the
antidepressants
lack
did
of
help.
sleep is, they did help. Oh, that's so great to hear because I think it's such a tricky time postpartum, especially, if you're not getting enough sleep and if you don't have the support that you need, it can be really hard.
Mm. Yeah, I think
So,
to allow mums to realise that it's okay to ask for help and it's okay to feel down and have the blues. I think we're now realising that as a culture that being a mom isn't all sunshine and rainbows straight after, and that unless you've got a lot of support, it makes life very, very hard. There's that expectation to be joyous that you have a new baby, where actually the transition to become a mom, it's quite a shock to the system.
yeah, it really is. What else helped you to sort of move with that or get over that feeling of depression or, get better, get well again? Is there any tools that you used or techniques?
No, my grandmother. My grandmother was extremely supportive. By that point, I'd given up my car. So I was walking to hers every day. It's a 45-minute walk. But I was walking there. I was taking Lauren with me. She was feeding me, and she was giving me the time to just take a breath. She's been an
Yeah.
amazing support in my life throughout my life. And she still is. She's 90 this year, and she still has Lauren every
Wow.
Sunday and gives her a Sunday lunch. She allows herself to be that inner child again, where they do Play-Doh and painting and baking together. And Sundays is when I'm not at work, my day for cleaning.
Wow. Gosh. So you work shifts then. So you're just about to start 7 days off now. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Wow. So in a way it's worth all that hard work. So you can do almost a 70-hour working week, which is intense, and then you're rewarded with a bit of time off. Does that make it kind of worth it?
Yeah, I enjoy my time off with Lauren. I try and make as much of the time as possible, whether it's just day trips out or theatre or just spending time together. So we sat and did Lego the other night, and it's precious time, time that you won't get back if you don't utilize it correctly.
Yeah, that's exactly right. How do you get support while you are at work then? Because you home educate, don't you? So what does Lauren do when you're working?
Her dad works permanent late shifts, so he's there of a morning, and we have a live-in nanny as well, which is essential considering I'm doing shift work. Obviously, she's always at Grand's on a Sunday, so that's 6 days a week where we have to organise activities and schoolwork and everything else.
Wow. How do you organise your time? Do you have any tips for organisational skills and time management?
Don't underestimate the power of a list. It off as you go along, and you'll never forget anything. But we have a set schedule. Lauren knows her schedule very well, and she functions best when she knows what's going on. But it is down to making sure that the right items are in the bag for a specific activity, planning meals in advance. I do all the food shopping generally when she's in bed, so I'll tend to do it on a late shift and on the way home from work, so that I'm not using the time that I'm supposed to be with her. Um, but last night I got home at 10:30. I prepped the lunch boxes for today, put all the stuff in the bag, made sure everything was ready, and then I went to bed. So as a mom, I am functioning on about 5 hours sleep, but my body has got used to that now.
Wow. Wow. Do you have any time to yourself for self-care?
Yeah, I mean, I've dropped her off at forest school today. Thursdays is my favourite day of the week. She goes off to forest school at 9:30, and that gives me till 12:30 to go for a walk, go and have some breakfast, have a chat with people. I'm going to a concert this evening, which was a Christmas present from a friend. Generally, concerts now, because Lauren's old enough, she wants to come with me. We tend to go
Oh,
to things together. There's a few concerts that we
oh,
haven't been
that's
able to go to
lovely.
together because yeah, it's over 14s only for some, but unfortunately, she understands that sometimes she can't participate. We've got three,
Yeah.
4 festivals this year where we're going off camping. We'll go off camping to Wales. Um, and we've got a trip down to London in March. So there's lots of things that where we take time out and just enjoy being together.
Yeah. I think that's so important as a family. What are the reasons that you decided to homeschool?
We'd discussed homeschooling before Lauren was even born. Neither of us are fans of the schooling system. Neither of us have had very good experiences with the school system. I was bullied all the way through school for being different. Her dad found it very difficult because he only found his love of reading when he found subjects he was interested in. So I don't think he enjoyed school very much either. But the school system is now struggling. There is not enough staff to the amount of pupils that are attending. When I went to school, the classes were a lot smaller. There was a lot more focus on the pupils. And it's turned into more of a tick system where they're being checked off for knowing certain things instead of teaching common sense and basic survival skills, learning how to cope in the real world. There's a lot of focus on social media now where children are comparing themselves to people who are being airbrushed online. And that's not the sort of culture that we wanted her to grow up. We want her to be happy as she is, to learn to accept herself the way she is and to accept her quirks and to find her own path as well, to find the things that she loves, the things that she enjoys, not be part of the tick system where they have to know this at a specific time or they have to learn about this particular subject just so that they can pass an exam. Because at the end of the day, the majority of it is now a memory test.
Yeah. Yeah. What advice would you give to families who are interested in home education?
Be aware that you've got to put the time in, that your organisational skills are going to have to be exceptional, that you will never ever be on time for anything ever again, and that activities aren't essential, but they do help. For a homeschool child, Lauren is exceptionally sociable. She's very loving. She's accepting of everybody. It doesn't matter how old they are, how young they are, what background they come from. She takes everybody as she finds them. She's invited to grannies for cream tea when they have their socials, and all the older people love her and love talking to her. She takes care of the younger children when she's at different groups. And she's a pleasure to be around. And she has absolutely no interest in technology, which at this stage of life, normally they'd be showing some sort of interest, but she's not. She's happy to sit and read a book or go and play with her Lego or just go and mess about and make a mess in the garden, which I love her. I love the fact that she does that. I don't mind the mess. I know a lot of people do. Homeschoolers have to accept that mess will be made, and the more mess children make, the happier they are. So painting, Play-Doh, clay, messing about in the dirt in the garden, it's all essential for them to be just happy kids. And I think we've lost sight of that. I think we need to accept that we need to allow our kids to be happy rather than forcing them into situations that make them anxious or insecure in themselves.
Yeah, I think that's a really great point that you make there, and especially with technology, there's so many children now who are raised with, they call them the iPad kids, don't they?
Yeah. Yeah, it's such a shame that the art of the conversation, that face-to-face social skills that the generation after mine has completely lost. I've found so many
Yeah.
teenagers now, my sister included. My sister's 24, and that generation just has no face-to-face social skills. They're quite happy to text or Instagram or whatever else that they do, but they've lost those vocal skills. And I think they've lost that love of reading with a book in their hands rather than a piece of technology. And it's quite dangerous as well, because the amount I see with their heads down looking at their phones while they're crossing the road or walking along. It's one thing I love about my walks here. This is Donisthorpe at the moment. And on a Thursday, we're all of the same or similar generation, and we all look up and we all say good morning and how are you doing and that sort of thing to people that you don't know. But that is becoming a lost art.
Yeah. Yeah, it really is. That's so true. It's kind of scary how young children now will be our future leaders of society, and yet how will they know how to communicate with people?
It seems to be based on
Oh,
a popularity contest on social media, doesn't it?
yeah. Yeah. How many likes can you get?
Yeah.
Who has been your biggest source of inspiration, motivation throughout your journey?
Well, I I've got to admit, we've muddled through it ourselves mostly. My
Mm.
family weren't particularly supportive of it, although they could see where I was coming from. My grandmother's been the most supportive person in my life, but the home ed community is amazingly supportive. There are so many of us now from so many different backgrounds, so many different walks of life. We share resources. We're all going on holiday together in March, which is fantastic. But I've got to admit, the homeschool community has been very much there for me when I needed them. When I've been struggling or when somebody else is struggling, we've all offered to help. We've offered our services. We share resources. We swap clothes. We swap toys. That's the most support I can ask for.
Yeah, it's incredible when a community comes together. What advice would you give to mums who are struggling and, maybe they have some goals or they want to work or they want to find that sense of community? What would you say to them?
That there are enough groups out there that will come together to support you, because at the end of the day, we all want to succeed and we all want to see everybody else succeed homeschooling their children. There are Facebook groups, there are WhatsApp groups, have community groups that meet up. There are masses of resources out there that can help. You can work and you can balance your life if that's what you choose to do. But it is a lot of hard work, and you will have to choose that balance. There has to be that sort of equilibrium between doing the schoolwork, balancing the activities, balancing your work, and making time for each other as well. But it can be done.
Do you ever feel overwhelmed?
Doesn't every parent?
Yeah. How do you deal with that?
I've recognised the signs now when I'm having a bad day or a bad week. Going for walks, being outdoors, being very careful with my diet sometimes, trying to stay away from the caffeine and the sugar. That helps a lot. It's silly things like being able to take a bath or painting my nails, going to the gym. I do try and find time to go to the gym or to go swimming, but I tend to mix my activities with Lauren's now. So when she goes to rock climbing, I have
Yeah.
my hour of rock climbing. When she does her swimming lesson, I have my time for swimming. She knows that Wednesday night I go to Salsa if I'm not at work. And she understands that that's mommy's night out. Um, because if I don't take time for myself and look after myself, nobody else is going to do that for me. Having that little bit of time to yourself is essential for your mental health. Mental health within parents, I think, has become a bigger issue, that we are trying to do too much in one go. We're constantly comparing ourselves to other people when actually we should say, hey, we're doing a pretty good job, all right, no problem. Take life as it comes.
Yeah, that's it. Exactly that. I think that's something that so many parents, and I know myself, really struggled with at first, comparing myself to other people who seem to have it all so perfect. But in reality, we're all feeling the same kind of feelings. Do you ever feel imposter syndrome?
I suppose so. I always feel like I'm flying by the seat, that maybe I've taken on too much, but I always find a way. And I think if we really do want something, that we will always find a way of doing it. But yeah, I feel like a complete idiot sometimes that maybe I'm not the greatest parent, maybe I'm not doing the right thing, and that eventually when she turns 18, I'll find out whether I've done the right thing or not. But when she's the happy kid that I know, it makes everything worthwhile.
Yeah, definitely. That's the thing, you just don't know until they reach adulthood. So I'm going to wrap it up because I know you have to go soon. I'm going to do some very quick fire questions. So the first one is, do you have any rituals that you do daily, either by yourself, as a family, with your daughter?
Bedtime. Whenever I'm there for bedtime, that is my favourite part of the day. Not because she's going to sleep, but because she has her shower and we have a tickle session on the bed. We have cuddles. I get to read her bedtime story. And it's that time of the day where there's nothing else. It's just the two of us. That's the one thing I hate about working shifts is that sometimes I miss bedtime, and that's the one thing I hate missing.
Yeah, it's nice to make it extra special. Okay, next one. Describe what wellness means to you.
Being happy. It doesn't matter how much money you earn or what car you drive, what kind of house you live in. Family, and it doesn't matter how big your family is, whether it's just you and your child or a massive extended family of friends. You don't have to be blood. As long as you take care of those that take care of you, that's what matters.
Oh, that's so special. Last one now. What message would you like to send to all the women and the mothers who are listening? And any tips, any advice, any words of wisdom to share with them?
Don't give up on yourselves. Even in your lowest point, there will be somebody there that will help. And if it doesn't work, try something different. But ultimately, a happy child is all that we aim for.
Yeah, well, they say a happy mum, happy child.
Yeah, very much so.
Thank you. Thank you, Sophie, for coming on the podcast today. Guys, I want you all to tune in next week for the next episode.